Fosterdaddirective podcast. My name is Charles. In this podcast, we go over being a father and fatherhood in general. My goal before was going over the foster care system, but honestly, that's a pretty limited topic. It's a whole lot of stressful, disheartening, and sad topics. So I kind of wanted to expand, be able to share much more happiness, things you can do with your kids, books, as I've obviously shared before, recipes, house maintenance, and topics like this one, which is going to be hobbies, either ones you can do by yourself or ones that you can share with your kids. I'm going to go over what I do, the things that the kids and I have been doing over the last 3+ years. So please stick around. And as always, know that I'm not a trained professional. The views expressed on this podcast are mine and in the future guests that are on the podcast, unless otherwise expressed by them, and I'll share credentials. Please seek adequate and effective legal counsel to best protect yourself if it is things such as taxes, other legal issues. Make sure you cover all your bases and don't rely on the ravings of a dummy like me. Otherwise, there are no updates currently. We are looking into the adoption of the girls. We will know more in the mid of March. I am trying to record a little bit ahead so that I have some wiggle room. I want to get episodes out more consistently, so I'm trying to get a little bit of a buffer, especially since I don't seem to have a following on either of my podcasts. All my family seems to have tapered off, so I'm going to keep releasing episodes, hopefully be able to help somebody. Other than that, we talked about with the two younger girls, their foster care worker last night, about adoption. She floated the idea of that they've been wondering about separating the girls, if that'd be helpful for them. I don't think it would be. We have had sibling groups in the past that were separated for safety of either one or both of the children. Our very first one that we were going to adopt, which would technically be the second foster we had, her and her brother would separated because of the way she treated him, and then he'd have violent outbursts. Honestly, in that situation, separation was not only effective, it was necessary from what I could see, just because of the way she treated him and his reaction. He was much more mentally healthy in that home without her there, even when she did essentially bully him through Discord and other social means. He seemed to be pretty healthy and pretty happy in his home. So instances like that, it's understandable to separate siblings. For the two girls, I think they're too bonded. We did mention, because the 9-year-old was trying to get kicked out, she wanted to get kicked out so that her and her siblings could be reunited. I think an older sister that we had stay with us for about 2 weeks told her that would happen. We informed her that unfortunately it probably wouldn't, that even her and her sister now would likely be separated. We were actually kind of a last stop for them. They could not find anybody willing to take both of them, so they actually moved about 20 plus miles to be with us, whole new school districts and stuff like that. So we let them know that while it might, in the short term, it definitely would not go well, and more than likely would be detrimental to one, if not both of them. So thankfully, we're getting them the resources that they need. Working on IEPs this week, which I'll go over at some point. My wife's a little more of an expert on that. Maybe I'll try to sucker her to getting on the podcast at some point, or at least getting some information from her on it. And ADHD screenings, autism screenings, other things similar to that will help us with their care and get them caught back up, because they're way behind educationally, even if they don't have any other delays. So we want to get into that. But for this topic, it is always good to have hobbies. There's some times where I've either jumped too far into hobbies or pushed them off for too long, and I can tell you firsthand it does affect your mental health. While gaming for too long, that's one of my big ones, is detrimental. You put a lot of other things off. chores, housework get put to the side. Don't let that happen. Make sure you're putting time limits, putting time aside to get your chores done, spend time with your family, and anything similar to that. You don't want to be gaming all the time, especially because my setup's back here in the back of nowhere. Thankfully, a lot of the kids I've had have been interested in watching me game, so I'll put the speakers on. I actually had, when we had the toddler, he had a little controller that he'd use and would actually press the buttons and it'd make noise while I was playing, so he'd get to listen to the gameplay sounds, watch it on the screen, and be able to act like he was playing. Once he got older, I'm sure he would not fall for that, but he also loved to touch my monitors and see them glow. And then the 7-year-old, she was in here watching me play Fallout 4 and then actually Fallout New Vegas, and told me that I was not going to make it out of this one area, and where it had quick saved, I did not, like 4 times in a row. I ended up going down and had to load the save and get out of there. But it's definitely one you can do. You can also, I have a Switch with 4 controllers, so we can play games. There are a lot of party games on Nintendo Switch. It's definitely one of the best couch co-op systems, especially lately. I always felt that Xbox, and I've never been a huge PlayStation, so I can't talk for PlayStation, but Xbox was moving away from, I don't know, it feels like gaming in general lately, but the couch co-ops, it had moved more towards online gameplay. So unfortunately, as to where Xbox One and Xbox 360 and even the original Xbox were huge for multiplayer games, the newest one, the Xbox X, I might have gotten all that confused. I apologize. I'm running on an hour of sleep in the last day. So the Nintendo Switch does a great job of doing that couch co-op and having a lot of games that are fun for kids like that, but you got to get them the games that they're interested in. That's one of the hardest issues I found. If they don't like the game, if they're losing, it can become a pain. If they can't read, don't know how to do the math for the game, it all plays into it and can make it either fun or not fun. It might not keep their attention for very long, honestly. Another huge one that we have been into is paints and crafts. Paint stuff is super cheap. The paint boards you can get extremely cheap on Amazon as well. You can hang them up. I have art all over my house from either like wine and sips. There's some in Grand Rapids that you can do where you go and have a drink and you paint, and the instructor shows you what to paint and how to do it, and you do it. We've done cookie and canvas, which was a kid's version, which was super fun. You can get them and do them at home. We did one with one of our foster kids where you paint for a little bit on the canvas, pass it to the person on your right or whatever, paint for a little bit, and keep doing that to make a different painting for everybody, which was super fun, which we need to do again. But paint supplies are relatively cheap, a great way to have fun with your kids. Doesn't take a lot of effort. You don't have a lot of prep. Mess is about the only thing. And the third one I'd really like to touch on is vinyl stickers. I have 2 vinyl cutters, a Cricut and a US cutter. It's really easy. I will give it to Cricut. Their application that they have, their app, makes it super easy to make the stickers, design them, print different things out, and have it cut. I tried that the last 2 or 3 days with the girls, and it kept their attention really well. It takes a lot of both hand dexterity and mental focus, and I've noticed that outside of pretty much anything they've done, having them focus on them stickers, the fine details, kept their attention really, really well. They didn't seem to get too frustrated. I reminded them repeatedly that it was practice. It was their first day of doing them. I've been doing it for months. I'm actually designing a whole US map that has about half-inch little decals on places my wife I and both of us have visited together in different colors. And then I'm making a photo album with other decals with larger versions of that half-inch decal, along with the name and date, and I'm going to put a picture behind it and design something like that. I could eventually show that, post it on the Facebook page, but it's a, vinyl decals are fun. It's a seems to be a great way to keep them involved. I'm gonna print off stickers for them. Well, cut. I keep saying print, but Cricut and US Cutter actually cut the vinyl and then you just kind of peel it. It's good for, like I said, that fine motor detail and the attention span. I think it's been great for them. Definitely gonna keep doing it. They seem to be really involved in it and like it, so I will share definitely how that progresses and any other things I find. If you have any things that you do with your kids that are, I mean, I won't even say unique. If there's anything you can think of, going certain places, do you fish with them? How do you get them into things? How do you get to them to try new things? So we've had foster kids in the past that don't want to try new things. So it's been a battle trying to get them into different things. So if you have any suggestions, please send them over. You can come on and talk about them, talk about what you do, anything like that. As always, I want to thank you so much for listening. Please like, subscribe, share, and email me at fosterdaddirective@gmail.com. You can send me any feedback, ideas, stories. I'd love to hear from you, honestly. I'm getting ahead episode-wise, banking a few of them, just because there's not a listenership, and I want to keep being kind of consistent in case somebody does pop in here and doesn't see me going like months without posting episodes. But I've also had people reach out and then not respond, so I haven't been too motivated. It's been kind of disheartening in that aspect. So if you want to be on, at least follow up, follow through with it. I don't have a huge listenership, so you're not going to get a lot of airtime, I guess, right now, or views based off from me. But I'd love to talk to you either way. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and may your kids' chaos be funny after 5 minutes and not 5 years. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye.